Ravi's eyes flutter open to darkness. A thick, acrid scent of burnt wood fills his lungs, making him cough. His head pounds like a drum, his vision blurred. He tries to move, but his body feels stiff, as if it has been lying still for too long. Dust dances in the faint streaks of moonlight slipping through the cracks in the boarded-up windows. The air is heavy, stale, carrying the unsettling silence of abandonment. He pushes himself up, his hands brushing against something rough. The floor beneath him is covered in soot. His fingers tremble as he touches his clothes, torn, covered in ash, like he's been through a storm of fire and smoke. Panic seeps into his veins. Where is he? How did he get here? His mind is a blank slate, his last memory just a void. He stumbles to his feet, each step crunching against shattered glass and debris. The walls are covered in black scorch marks. Something terrible happened here. A strange sensation prickles at his skin, the feeling of being watched. He turns sharply. Nothing. Just shadows stretching across the room, shifting as if alive. A faint wisp of smoke drifts through the hallway ahead. It curls and twists, leading somewhere deeper into the house. He watches it for a moment, mesmerized, before instinct urges him forward. As he steps cautiously, his breath quickens. There's something eerily deliberate about the way the smoke moves, like it's guiding him.
His foot catches on something.
He crouches down, brushing away the dust to reveal a photograph, partially burned, edges curled with heat. He picks it up, his heart hammering as he tries to make out the image. The faces are blurred, the details lost to fire, but the outline of two people stands out. A woman and a man. Something about the picture feels disturbingly familiar, but his mind refuses to place it. A soft creak breaks the silence. He stiffens. The sound is coming from a hallway. His grip tightens on the photograph as he slowly lifts his gaze. A shadow flickers at the edge of his vision, tall, unmoving. His breath catches in his throat. He wants to call out, but something tells him not to. The shadow vanishes as quickly as it appeared. The silence deepens. He takes a shaky step back. The smoke ahead swirls faster, as if impatient. He hesitates only for a moment before following it, the photograph still clenched in his hand. His gut twists with unease. Something is waiting for him. Something that knows exactly who he is, even if he doesn't. Ravi moves cautiously, his pulse hammering against his ribs. The smoke twists through the air ahead, disappearing around a corner. He hesitates before following, his footsteps unnervingly loud in the silence. The deeper he goes, the colder the air becomes, his breath now visible in faint, white wisps. The house feels vast, endless, as if shifting around him. He reaches a room where the smoke thickens. A wooden table stands in the center, covered in dust, with an old, leather-bound diary resting on top. His fingers tremble as he opens it. The name Ayesha is scrawled on the first page. His chest tightens. Why does that name feel like an echo from a dream? Flipping through the brittle pages, he scans hurried words, some faded, others smeared with ash. Ayesha writes of someone she loved, someone she trusted. But then the tone shifts. He lied to me. I should have never believed him. Something feels wrong. I don't think I'm safe. His throat dries.
Who is she talking about?
The last entry is nearly illegible, burned at the edges. He can barely make out the final words. The fire. It wasn't an accident. A sharp chill grips his spine. Ayesha was here.
She knew something.
Did she die in the fire? Was he the man she wrote about? His mind spins, pieces not fitting together. A sudden whisper breaks the silence. He jerks his head up. The room is empty. The smoke, once stagnant, begins curling toward a dark hallway. His pulse races as he follows, unable to stop himself. The walls feel narrower, closing in. He senses movement, something shifting just beyond his sight. Then he sees it. A silhouette at the end of the hallway. Still. Watching. His breath catches. The figure doesn't move, doesn't speak. Just lingers in the shadows. His body screams to turn back, but his feet keep moving. A step forward. The silhouette vanishes. His stomach churns. He grips the diary tighter. His surroundings feel different now, charged with something unseen. Another flash of smoke curls around him. And then voices.
Distant echoing.
A woman's voice, pleading. A man's voice, angry. The crackle of flames. A sharp pain flares in his skull. He staggers, gripping the wall as a memory flickers. A burning room, the stench of smoke, a hand reaching for him. His vision blurs. He squeezes his eyes shut, but the images push through. He sees himself.
And Ayesha.
The memory fades before he can grasp it. His breathing is ragged. The hallway is empty again. Only the diary remains in his hand, its burned pages whispering secrets he's not sure he wants to remember. The truth is clawing its way back. And it's terrifying. Ravi's hands tremble as he flips through the diary again, but the words blur. His mind is unraveling, memories creeping in like smoke seeping through cracks. He swallows hard and steps deeper into the house, drawn by something unseen. The hallway opens into a room, its walls blackened with fire damage. The air is dense with the scent of burnt wood and something else, something metallic. His gaze falls on the floor, where another photograph lies, untouched by ash. He picks it up. This time, the image is clear. It's him.
And Ayesha.
His breath catches. They're smiling, standing close, but something about the photo feels wrong. His fingers grip the edges as flashes of the past ignite in his mind. A fight. Raised voices. Accusations. Ayesha's eyes filled with fear. He takes a step back, his heartbeat pounding in his ears. The air shifts. A presence lingers behind him. Cold. Watching. He turns slowly, but the room is empty. Only shadows stretch along the walls. Then movement. The smoke thickens, curling into the form of a woman. Her face is obscured, but he knows.
Ayesha.
His throat tightens as her voice slithers through the air. You left me. No, he whispers, shaking his head. I tried. The walls flicker with fire. The room twists into the past. Ayesha stands in the doorway, flames roaring behind her, reaching for him. Smoke chokes the space between them. She pleads, eyes wide with terror. His own hand is outstretched, but he hesitates. The past crashes into him. He wasn't trying to save her. He turned away. His knees buckle. The memory is suffocating, pressing down on him with unbearable weight. Ayesha's voice sharpens. You watched me burn. The flames surge. The present and past blur. He gasps for air, but there's no escape. The house is alive with whispers, accusing, condemning. His chest tightens as the walls seem to close in, the smoke wrapping around him. He stumbles backward, clutching his head. It wasn't supposed to happen, he chokes out. I don't remember why. The shadows pulse. The whispers grow louder. And then, silence. The smoke recedes, revealing the burnt remains of the house. The photograph in his hands turns to ash. He is alone. But the truth lingers, heavy and inescapable. He didn't just leave Ayesha to die. He let it happen. Ravi collapses to his knees, gasping as the weight of the truth crushes him. The walls around him pulse with flickering embers, the air thick with the scent of burnt memories. Ayesha's presence lingers, unseen but suffocating. He can feel her, watching, waiting. The realization is unbearable. He wasn't just there the night of the fire.
He was the reason for it.
Their argument had spiraled out of control. Ayesha had uncovered something about him, a truth he never wanted exposed. The fire wasn't an accident. It was his rage, his recklessness. He could have pulled her from the flames, but he didn't. The house begins to tremble. The smoke thickens, swirling around him. His breath is ragged as he struggles to stand. A low, eerie whisper fills the air, his name stretching into the darkness. He turns wildly, searching for an escape, but there is none. A shape emerges from the shadows.
Ayesha.
Not the woman he once knew, but something else, something born from fire and betrayal. Her form flickers like a dying flame, her eyes hollow voids of sorrow and rage. You can't run, she murmurs. The walls groan as if the house itself is alive, closing in. Ravi stumbles back, his pulse thundering in his ears. The past was never buried. It was waiting for him. The smoke thickens, pressing against his skin, seeping into his lungs. He chokes, falling to the floor. His body feels weightless, his limbs fading into nothing.
Panic sets in.
He claws at the ground, desperate, but his fingers slip through ash. Ayesha steps closer, her voice a whisper of embers. "You don't belong here anymore." His vision blurs. The house vanishes into blackness. A rush of heat engulfs him, consuming everything. And then, silence. Morning breaks outside the abandoned house. The structure stands still, untouched by time, a forgotten ruin. A gust of wind scatters a charred newspaper lying by the entrance. The headline reads, "Man found dead in burned house, suspected arsonist caught in his own crime." The last wisps of smoke rise into the air. And just like that, Ravi is gone.